Our good friend Nigel Seeley joins the program now. Usually we have him on Talking Soccer here, tennis season, July 4th next week here in the States, and Wimbledon obviously underway every single year around this time. Nigel, good morning, mate. How are you?
I'm very well. Good morning to you guys. How are you doing?
Doing really, really well. So we can get into this right out of the gates here. I said before the break, if I know you like I think I know you, there's no way you're going to make a case at Djokovic at his current price. Will he win the tournament? Probably, but minus 165, I'm guessing a tad steep for you to get involved.
Yeah, definitely not for me. I mean, if you're a serious bettor and you're someone who's betting in four figures, or you're somebody who has got more money to risk, then obviously Djokovic makes some kind of appeal to you at the prices. I mean, his record here is phenomenal. His record in tennis in the last 10, 15 years is absolutely phenomenal. He's won 23 of these majors, which is staggering. No other tennis player on the men's circuit has ever won more majors than Novak Djokovic. He could win a career, a calendar Grand Slam, which is something that hasn't been done for a long, long time. He's already won the Australian Open. He's already won the French Open. And now he goes into Wimbledon, which you could say, along with the Australian Open, is his favourite Grand Slam tournament. He's won the last four Wimbledons. But would I bet him? No, I wouldn't bet him. But if you ask me who I think will win it, Novak Djokovic would be high on my list of winners. For me, I think when I ever bet tennis and I bet markets like this, I always look for the each way value. So I mean, a lot of Americans have asked me. They've never come to the terms of each way value. When we started doing this stuff 3 or 4 years ago, people was asking me about each way value, didn't understand what that meant. That was basically, you would see at the bottom the odds. There would be half the odds of the player to win the final. So if someone was 20-1 to win the tournament, you would get 10-1 for that person to make the final. And I think that's the best way to play this Wimbledon draw. If you can get that each way or that place part or to make the final odds. Obviously, Djokovic is the number 2 seed. He's not number 1 seed this time around. You've got to remember that. He's in that bottom half of the draw. And you need someone at the top half of the draw who is going to meet him in the final. So, and you'll get a bigger return for your money. So, for example, last year, Nick Kyrgios was probably 20-1 to win Wimbledon. He reached the final, played Djokovic, and you would have got 10-1. The year before, Berrettini got to the final of Wimbledon where he got beat again by Djokovic. I think going into that tournament, Berrettini was about 16-1. So you've got 8-1 for him to make the final. And those two, if you can get that finalist through, you get a much better price than you do if you eventually bet the winner, because the winner is likely to be Djokovic. And in that bottom half of the draw, so in that top half of the draw where you're looking for the each way value, you see the second favourite in Carlos Alcaraz. And I know Carlos Alcaraz is the future of men's tennis. And he did win the tournament last week in London where I was at, and he played very, very well. But I think at 3-1, he's far, far, far too short in the betting for me to get involved. I mean, he's got a lot to prove on grass. Grass is a very specialist surface, and I'm not convinced by Alcaraz, despite his fantastic quality. But I think at 3-1, he's someone I would oppose. So I think from a betting perspective, I would look for some really big priced guys in that top half of the draw who I think could go deep in the draw and hopefully get through to the final where they take on Djokovic. And then we've got a free bet in the final, but we would have collected because we made the part of reaching the final.
I love that angle. Any names at this point stick out to you?
Well, the draw's just come out.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's tricky.
Through it. This is the first time since 2003 where Nadal, Djokovic, or Federer hasn't been the number 1 seed at Wimbledon. So it's the first time in 20 years that someone outside them 3, and we may see a change in the guard. The other thing I probably wouldn't rush to take on Djokovic is that I know he's playing brilliant tennis, but he's 36 years of age, and he's just come back. He's just won the French Open. He hasn't played since Paris, so that is a big ask for him to do that at this age and not play. He's the best player, I believe, the best tennis competitor and the best player, not the most entertaining, but the best player we see. His commitment to winning and his physique and his mentality is better than anybody. So there is pluses and minuses to bet Djokovic. So in the top half of the draw, I mean, we're looking at a section there. So we've got the quarter where we've got Alcaraz in the quarter. Alcaraz looks likely to play Holger Rune in the quarterfinals, the Danish kid, another young kid coming through. But Holger Rune is a player that I just cannot have on grass. So I don't think Holger Rune will reach the quarterfinals, and I think potentially the quarterfinal opponent. I think the Americans will do well here at the Wimbledon. I think the American men will do well, and there's a few American men I like. I think Francis Tiafoe could give Alcaraz all kinds of problems if they met in the quarterfinal. Francis Tiafoe came to Queen's Club and didn't play very well because he was absolutely exhausted because he won the grass court tournament the week before. So forget his form at Queen's Club. Tiafoe at a big price to get to the final be someone I'm looking at. I'm looking at alternatives to Alcaraz. Tiafoe, I think Sebastian Korda. I've been very vocal about Sebastian Korda's chances on Twitter and social media. I think Sebastian Korda technically is in the top 3 or 4 players currently in the world. I think he's that good. He's had a long layoff from injury. He played Alcaraz in the semi-finals at Queen's Club on grass. He lost, but tactically Korda was terrible that day. He tried to compete with Alcaraz from the back of the court. He tried to out-battle him. You're never going to do that. You have to come to the net. You have to play grass court tennis. I think if they met at Wimbledon, he'll have a different tactic. I think he's got a great chance to progress deep. I think if you're looking for someone in that bottom of that top half of the draw, he's another one. And I think another American who's very, very disrespectful in the prices is Tommy Paul. I saw odds of 400-1, Tommy Paul. He's into the semi-finals of the grass court event here in Eastbourne. He's been given a very, very favourable section through to the quarterfinals because the main seeds here in this draw in the top half, other than Alcaraz, are Holger Rune, who I just cannot have on grass, Daniel Medvedev, the number 3 seed, who has been stated publicly his dislike for playing on grass. The ball doesn't bounce, so he likes the ball to bounce differently. He doesn't like it. And Stefanos Tsitsipas, the number 5 seed, who at the moment is playing some of his worst tennis of his career. So all 4 of those seeds, I feel, are vulnerable. And I think you could look for the obvious one, Alcaraz, but at 3-1, I think you've got a lot of question marks around him. And I think at big prices, the American trio of Francis Tiafoe around about 80-1, Tommy Paul 400-1, and Korda at around about 33-1 could give you someone who's going to go deep. And if you can get to the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, then you're in a great position to hedge. Now, I don't really like hedging positions, as I said before, but if I've got a 400-1 shot who's into the quarterfinals and he's one match away from cashing a 200-1 ticket, I'm hedging that play. I wouldn't do it in the final because I've got a free bet. But if you're that close, so if you can get someone deep, you've got a great chance to make the market. So I think in that top half, those Americans really do make appeal at big prices.
Only 2 minutes left. What do you see with the women? And also, does it seem like we're on a crazy run here where you're seeing unseeded players make it to the finals or the semis?
Well, the women's draw is much more competitive than the men's, but there's a big question mark about Iga Swiatek, the pole, the number 1, clearly the best player in the world. But on grass, she's beatable. She's just pulled out of a tournament. She's got through to the semi-finals this morning, and she's pulled out today. Now, if that's an injury concern, or I don't know, but that is a big worry if you're taking the $3 on Swiatek. The draw that she's been given, though, she couldn't have been given a better draw. She's got a fantastic draw. The bottom half of the draw is loaded with quality players. I've already bet Petra Kvitova at 50-1. When I saw her play in Miami, I thought she looked good for Wimbledon, but she's been given a hard draw today. In the top half of the draw, Corey Goff has got an easy draw, but she's just got beat by Madison Keys, which is not great. Kasatkina, the Russian, is playing exceptionally good tennis. But at a big price, a real big price, I'm going to give you a bit of interest. At 100-1, I'm going to go for Ludmila Samsonova in the top half of the draw, the number 15 seed. She's around about 100-1. The second section of the draw looks the weakest of the whole of the women's draw. Swiatek is vulnerable. She could bow out early. And I think at a massive price, Samsonova, big server, very, very capable on grass, at 100-1, I think she can get to the quarterfinals and give you a good run.
All right. That was awesome knowledge, man. Thanks for dropping it here today on the show. You can follow him on Twitter. He is at Seeley_Nigel. Let me guess. You're going to be on a yacht this weekend with Guy Ritchie hanging out, and then you're going to go to Wimbledon for 2 weeks?
That was last weekend.
Oh, silly me. Yeah. Are you going to Wimbledon?
It was my birthday. I was 50. I'm 50. It was my 50th birthday party tonight. It's tonight, my big party tonight. And then Monday, I'm going to Wimbledon.
Oh, man. I missed that, actually. Well, happy birthday, pal. Are you taking it easy?
Very much. No worries. So, yeah, we've got a party tonight, and then I'm going to see a concert tomorrow, and then Monday, busy 2 weeks at Wimbledon.
All right, pal. Well, enjoy it. Thanks for the time.
Thanks very much, guys.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.